ready to get strategic. Today, we are diving deep into the history of chess. But this isn't just some dry history lesson, trust me.
Yeah, forget those dusty old books.
Exactly. We're going to uncover how a game born on ancient battlefields made its way across continents and centuries, evolving all along the way. It's like chess is a mirror to history itself, you know?
Absolutely. Full of surprises, too. Like, ever wonder where the names of the pieces come from? Or how the queen became such a powerhouse?
Seriously, she's like the queen bee on the chessboard. I need to know her secret.
We'll uncover it all, plus some mind-blowing facts that'll make you the most interesting person at your next game night.
Right. Who needs another Netflix show when you've got chess history to impress your friends with?
Exactly. And for this deep dive, our main source is, you guessed it, Wikipedia.
Oh, Wikipedia, our old friend. Don't worry, though. We've sifted through all the info dumps and jargon, so you don't have to.
Yeah, think of us as your chess history guides.
Right. Your personal researchers, here to bring you the coolest and most unexpected moments in chess history. So where do we even begin?
We got to start at the beginning, right? Our journey begins way back in 6th century India with a game called Chaturanga.
Chaturanga. Okay, now that sounds like an ancient ancestor of chess.
It is. And get this, the name itself is super revealing. It literally means 4 limbs of the military in Sanskrit.
4 limbs of the military. See, that's way cooler than just calling it strategy game or whatever. So were the pieces like actual army units back then?
Absolutely. Instead of our modern-day king, queen, rooks, and pawns, they had pieces that represented, well, the 4 divisions of the ancient Indian army: elephants, chariots, cavalry, and infantry.
So it's like each game was a mini war epic playing out on the board. Man, I can only imagine the trash talk back in those days. But how do we get from ancient war rooms to, like, the chess we know today?
That's where things get really interesting. Chaturanga didn't stay put in India. It went viral, traveled the Silk Road and everything, eventually reaching Persia around the 6th century CE.
And I bet the Persians, with their love of, like, strategy and games, they must have been all over it.
Oh, totally. They embraced the game, but made it their own, too, adding their own cultural touches. In fact, this is where we get the term Czech.
No way. Seriously.
Yeah. It comes from the Persian word shah, meaning king.
So every time I'm putting someone in check, I'm basically saying, watch out, king. That's amazing. I am never going to look at that word the same way again.
And checkmate itself.
Hmm.
Well, that comes from the Persian shahmat, meaning the king is helpless. But their influence went way beyond just the words we use. They had a huge impact on the look of the game, too.
Okay, I'm picturing, like, elaborate chess sets fit for a sultan gold, jewels, the works.
Funny you should say that it was actually the opposite. Remember, Islam was the main religion in Persia, and it wasn't big on representational art, especially humans or animals. So chess pieces became way more abstract, often made of simple materials like clay or stone.
Huh. So it's like forced to be minimalist. Chess actually became even more about pure strategy, like no fancy distractions.
Exactly. And that abstract quality made it even easier for chess to cross cultural borders as it spread. But hey, that doesn't mean people didn't try to make the game more visually interesting and strategically challenging.
Oh, tell me more. What kind of twists did other cultures add to the mix?
Well, as chess traveled east, it ran into a culture that was obsessed with strategy. China. They had Go, this super old game that's crazy complex, and its influence on how chess developed there, it's undeniable.
I've heard of Go, those boards with the black and white stones, right? Always seemed a bit intimidating, to be honest. How did it end up shaping chess?
Okay, so picture this. In Zhengki, that's the Chinese version of chess, the pieces actually sit on the intersections of the lines on the board, not inside the squares.
Wow, really? Just like Go.
Yep.
So they actually changed the whole geography of the board. Did they add any new pieces too?
You bet. They introduce pieces like the cannon, which moves straight like a rook, but get this, it has to jump over another piece to capture. Kind of a wild mix of familiar movement with a unique twist, you know?
A cannon! That's amazing. Chess with artillery? Who would have thought? It seems like everywhere chess went, it picked up some new strategic flavor. What about Japan? What did they bring to the game?
Oh, Japan is where things get really interesting. That's where chess evolved into shogi, and it's there. We find this totally revolutionary idea, drops.
Drops. Okay, you're going to have to explain. That one sounds more like something out of a video game.
All right, so imagine this. You capture a pawn, right?
Right.
But instead of it being out of the game, you can actually put it back on the board later as your own piece on any empty square.
Whoa, hold on. So it's like those captured pieces are just waiting in the wings for a chance to jump back into the action.
Exactly. Adds a whole other level of strategy and surprise.
That is wild. It's like reincarnation, but for chess pieces. I love how chess just absorbed all these different cultural ideas.
And honestly, we've only just scratched the surface. There are tons of other variations out there, Korean Jongi, Tamakroke. But let's get back to our main story, because chess is about to head west. And that's where things get really dramatic, especially for our queen.
Right. From advisor to, well, queen. I'm ready for this grow up story. So, chess has taken over Asia, picking up new rules and philosophies along the way. What happens when this Eastern game finally makes it to Europe?
Well, by the time chess got to Europe, it had been on quite the journey, right? Picked up all sorts of new rules and variations, but Europe, that's where it had its biggest makeover, a total transformation, especially for the queen. Remember how she started as a pretty low-ranking advisor back in Chaturanga?
Right, the fairs, stuck with those limited diagonal moves. Hard to imagine her as anything other than the powerhouse she is today.
Exactly. But something like around the 15th century, things started to shift. Europe was in the middle of the Renaissance, remember? Big changes, new ideas everywhere. And chess, well, it wasn't immune to all that change in the air.
Okay, you've got my attention. Tell me more about this European chess revolution. Was there, like, a specific event that caused this big change for the queen?
Well, it wasn't like a single event, more like a general shift.
Yeah.
Some historians even think that the growing power of real-life queens, like Isabella III of Spain, might have played a role.
Wow, that's fascinating. So the queen's rise to power in chess might actually mirror what was happening with women in positions of power at the time. That's making me think, did the game just reflect those changing social dynamics? Or maybe even, help to make them seem more normal?
It's an interesting thought, for sure. Whatever the reason, the queen's transformation was, well, radical, this once limited piece. Suddenly, she could move any number of spaces she wanted, horizontally, vertically, diagonally, the works.
Now that is a glow up. No wonder they called it Mad Queen Chess. So what did that do to the game itself?
Changed everything. Games became faster, more dynamic, and the queen. She was suddenly the most powerful attacker on the board. Checkmates started happening way faster, and the whole game just got a whole lot more complex.
And I bet that messed with how the other pieces were played too, right? Like the whole strategy of the game had to change.
Absolutely. The queen's new power totally shifted the balance. Pawns, for instance, they became way more valuable, not just because they might get promoted to a queen, but also because they could control key squares and protect their new queen.
So this one change, giving the queen all that freedom of movement, it really did set off this chain reaction, changing how chess was played forever. Makes you wonder what other big changes were happening during this time in European chess. So the queen's this strategic powerhouse now, changing the whole game. What other big shakeups happened to chess in Europe?
Oh, tons. This is like the golden age of chess innovation. This is when we got castling, that cool move where the king and rook do a little switcheroo.
Rack, love that move. It's like safety for the king, plus you get that rook activated. Two birds, one stone.
Exactly. And then there's the pawn's two-square advance, another change that made the game faster, more complex, especially at the start. Chess was like really transforming from this leisurely game into, well, a more intense battle of minds.
Yeah, it's amazing how those little tweaks totally changed the game. But I imagine this faster, more intense chess, it must come with its own set of problems, right?
Totally. As chess got more competitive, it got way more mentally demanding. Imagine playing a game that could go on for hours, even days, with no way to track time.
Honestly, I can barely handle the pressure when I'm down to my last few seconds. So how'd they solve that one?
The chess clock. Late 19th century. A true game changer. And it wasn't just about, making the game faster. It added a whole new layer of strategy. Suddenly, players had to be strategic, but also think fast on their feet.
It's not just about making the smart move. It's about making the best move in a limited time. No wonder those old chess matches became legendary.
Totally. And speaking of legendary, this is the time when we saw the rise of tournaments and that first official World Chess Championship back in 1886. Can you imagine the excitement? The best minds going head-to-head for the title.
Oh man, those early championships must have been something else. But with all those brilliant players, chess had to keep evolving, right?
Absolutely. The 20th century was like a golden age for chess. We had new schools of thought popping up like the hypermodernists to flip the script on all that traditional thinking about positions. And then, of course, there's the Soviet chess school. They dominated for decades, produced legends like Mikhail Botvinnik, Garry Kasparov.
It's incredible how, even after all these centuries, chess never stopped changing. But I gotta ask, what about computers? How did they change the game?
Oh, that was huge. The moment computers started playing chess, that was a turning point. When Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov in '97, it blew everyone's minds. Suddenly you had these machines calculating millions of moves per second, forced everyone to rethink what chess even was.
Right. It's like chess entered a whole new dimension, human intuition versus raw computing power. It makes you wonder, where does chess go from here?
That's the cool thing. Even now, it keeps evolving. We've got AI like AlphaZero playing at this superhuman level, teaching us new strategies and pushing the limits of the game.
It's like we've gone full circle. Chess started with like these literal armies on a board, and now it's become this way to explore, I don't know, the nature of intelligence itself. Pretty mind-blowing.
It is. So yeah, next time you're setting up your board, remember, it's not just a game. You're tapping into this huge history of strategy, culture, human ingenuity. Every move connects you to all these great thinkers across time.
Beautifully said. So, for our listeners who are ready to, make their next move into the world of chess history, where should they start?
Honestly, don't underestimate those classic sources, like even Wikipedia. It's a great launchpad for exploring all those amazing chess masters, those legendary matches, the whole evolution of chess strategy. And hey, who knows? Maybe this deep dive will inspire you to dust off that chessboard and, discover your own inner champion.